Minsan ba meron sa inyo sa mga grupo ninyo na nakinabang dun sa mga development projects ninyo?
Listen to the ones who may need divorce.
Militarization, unfortunately, is still happening in Mindanao.
If reforestation is only to be done by government, hindi natin matatapos ito.
Mas pinalawak na talakayan, mas masusing paghihimay, sa may init na usapin at mga isyong panlipunan.
Imbestigahan niya ako. Set a date.
I invoke my right to remain silent.
Definitely, hindi po ako spy.
Samahan niyo ako tuwing araw ng linggo, alas 12 ng tanghali, para alamin ang bawat katotohanan sa likod ng kontrobersya.
Matapos ang magkabilang issue na kinakaharap ni Vice President Sara Duterte mula sa kinikwestyong 2022 at 2023 confidential funds ng Office of the Vice President at Department of Education at hindi pagdalo at pagsagot ng bise sa mga pagdinig ng Kamara at Senado hanggang sa mga tirada at pagbabanta nito sa Pangulo, tuluyan ng nauwi sa impeachment case ang Vice Presidente. And to join us in the discussion of this and what shall we expect from here is Attorney Michael Henry Yusinko, a political analyst and a senior research fellow at the Ateneo School of Government. Attorney, magandang tanghali po and welcome to our program.
Magandang tanghali sa iyo, Rose, at magandang tanghali sa lahat ng nanonood at nakikinig sa atin ngayon.
Attorney, before we move on to discussing the whole impeachment complaint, let's get a general take kung gaano kahalaga, how significant is an impeachment case against a sitting vice president in a way that our viewers will understand, especially its weight.
Well, before answering that, siguro kailangan ipaliwanag muna natin what is impeachment, no?
Yes, go
What
ahead.
is it really? So that we can gauge kung ano nga ba yung importance nito or relevance nito para sa ating mga kababayan. So, yung impeachment is a constitutional process, no? So, kadalasan ang naririnig natin, it's a political process. To a certain extent, that's true. But strictly speaking, it is a constitutional process that is very politicized. Yun na lang para mas precise yung pagkakaintindi natin. So, ang impeachment ay isang mekanismo para sa ating mga mambabatas na kung meron silang nakikita na dapat tanggalin doon sa listahan ng mga impeachable officers, no, yung mga high-ranking public officials na nakasaad sa ating saligang batas, ito yung kanilang paraan para matanggal sa posisyon yung mga opisyal na yon na sa tingin nila karapat-dapat na tanggalin doon sa posisyon nila. So, yung presidente, vice president, yung mga constitutional commissioners at saka yung ombudsman, you know. So, that is what is impeachment really is, no? It's a constitutional tool for Congress to remove those high-ranking public officials from office, no? At yung ikalawa sigurong dapat ihatid sa atin mga kababayan na dalawa lang ang pwede mangyari pagdating sa impeachment, no? Matanggal sa posisyon at magkaroon ng permanent disqualification to hold any other public office, no? Pero hindi ito nagbibigay ng criminal liability. Kahit na ba doon sa mga articles of impeachment, merong mga criminal offenses na kasali, yung impeachment ay hindi siya ang magbibigay ng criminal penalty o ng criminal accountability doon sa public official na may impeach. So yun ang dalawang bagay muna, no, Rose. This is really a constitutional process that is very politicized. And second, impeachment does not impose accountability, at least criminal accountability to the public official impeached.
Now, Attorney, what are the grounds for impeachment now that you're opening up this conversation of making it comprehensive, itong impeachment nga po sa ating mga manunood? What are the grounds for impeachment?
So, ayon sa ating saligang batas, no, so kailangan tayo mag-refer specifically sa isang provision kasi nandoon naman nakasaad, no, sa Article 11, Section 2. No? So ano yung mga grounds? Culpable violation of the Constitution. So very, very specific. No? So ang nakalagay, culpable violation of the Constitution. Isa yon. Number 2, treason, bribery, graft and corruption, other high crimes, or betrayal of public trust. So, pag sinabi nating culpable violation of the Constitution is talagang malinaw na merong nilabag na provision sa ating saligang batas at talagang yung impeached officer ang nagkasala. And pag sinabi nating high crimes, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito yung talagang mataas at saka yung mabigat na krimen, hindi lang yung mga nagnakaw sa nangupit or yung nakasagasa, hindi ganoon, ano? Ang pinag-uusapan natin dito yung talagang mabibigat na krimen. So those are the grounds for impeachment. So repeat lang natin, culpable violation of the Constitution, treason, bribery, graft and corruption, other high crimes, or betrayal of public trust.
Attorney, maraming salamat po sa paglalatag nitong mga bagay na ito. Now let's talk about the officially filed impeachment complaint against VP Sara Duterte. Did you see this coming with the growing Marcos and Duterte rift? The VP lashing out in a press conference. May mga talks na po about the impeachment. But did you actually see it will really be filed? Was this already on the table?
Well, for me, ang pinagbabatayan ko lang is yung mga salita na binibitawan ng mga talagang gusto mag-file, no? So, yung Makabayan Bloc, yung mga nasa Liberal Party dati, sila Senator Trillanes. So, matagal na nilang sinasabi, no, sa publiko na impeachment talaga ang gusto nilang ipataw kay Vice President Sara. So nung ginawa na nila, in a way, hindi na nakakagulat. Ang pinagkakatakahan ko lang kasi ang bukang bibig nila, lahat sila, no, including yung mga civil society proponents ng impeachment, is they want to hold the Vice President accountable, no, for those crimes na nililista nila, yung misuse of confidential funds, yung issuing threats to the life of the president and his family. Ang kinakatakaan ko lang kasi if you want the vice president to be accountable or liable for those crimes, then that's not going to be achieved by impeachment, no? Gaya na sinabi ko kanina, the only result that can come out of an impeachment is removal from public office and permanent disqualification. No? So it has nothing to do with holding the impeached officer, public official, accountable for the crimes that she's being accused of. No? So yun lang ang medyong hindi nagtutugma sa akin na ang sinasabi nila sa kanilang justification is gusto nilang mapanagot para dun sa mga krimen na sinasabi nilang ginawa ni Vice President Duterte. But impeachment is not the right way. No, it's not the proper way to hold her accountable for those alleged crimes.
I'm gonna ask you to hold that thought. Napakagandang linawin po nun, attorney. And I think we're going to discuss this further later. Now, the first impeachment complaint endorsed by Akbayan was signed by 17 complainants. And before we move on to some of the articles of impeachment, let's talk about this first. There are 17 complainants who are private citizens from civil society and organizations, mga religious sector, that according to former Senator Leila de Lima na final nila ito in their personal capacities. And the Makabayan Bloc, who are set to endorse another complaint as we speak, said, and this is Representative Raul Manuel speaking, na aantayin nila yung ibang mga leaders ng ibang organisasyon para raw po mas mapalawak o mapalapad yung representation sa ifa-file nilang complaint. How important is this, and does this really matter, this representation?
Well, of course, it matters if they want to show na merong popular support yung impeachment, no? That's one way of showing or providing evidence na itong impeachment process na pinupursue nila ay merong public support or at least majority support from the public, no? But technically speaking, kung pag-uusapan natin yung impeachment process itself, kumbaga yung numbers game kung pag-uusapan natin, the number of complaints is really immaterial, or kung meron bang mga maraming private complainants ang involved is really immaterial, kasi ang importante is number one, merong endorsement from a member of the House of Representatives, no? So that's number one. Number two, ang kailangan nila is at least a third of the members of the House of Representatives will support the impeachment, no, para umusad ito hanggang Senado. So yung number of private complainants in a way can help siguro, no, can help muster that number, yung at least a third of the members of the House of Representatives, no? Pero given our politics, no, how our politics actually work, baka hindi rin makaapekto yun masyado in the long run. So numbers wise, hindi ito yung number na tinitingnan natin o mahalaga dun sa proseso itself. Ang mahalaga is number one, yun na nga, at the very least, merong isang mag-i-endorse ng impeachment, one member of the House, and also they need about a third of the members of the House para umusad dito at mapunta sa Senado.
All right, just to clear that up, sir, while these representations are good and it shows public support, hindi po ito lubusang makakaapekto doon sa buong proseso ng impeachment, because what we're looking at is first the endorsement from one of the members of the House and 1/3 of the House supporting the impeachment case para maiangat sa Senado. Tama po ba?
Essentially, it's like that, no? Kasi meron syempre may steps na dadaanan, ano, na yung una, yung pag-file itself, and then mapupunta ito sa Speaker of the House, and the Speaker will decide kung ilalabas ba niya ito sa order of business for the plenary to consider na i-endorse to sa Committee on Justice, and then yung Committee on Justice, they will study the content of the complaint, and then doon pa ibabalik sa plenaryo, and doon na mahalaga yung 1/3 na sinasabi ko of the members of the House of Representatives para naman ma-transmit ito sa Senado for the impeachment trial, no? So those are the numbers that are critical to the success or the failure of the impeachment complaint.
All right. Now let's talk about the complaint itself, attorney. Taliwas po sa akala ng marami na the VP's manner of presenting herself, lalo na nitong mga nagdaang press conference where she lashed out, threatening to kill the president, the first lady, and the House Speaker. Akala po ng marami, ng publiko, ito yung pinakasentro ng impeachment complaint, when it was actually largely on the subject of confidential funds. Marami pong article na dito nakabatay. However, we hear congressists say na yung mga findings ng COA ay hindi final and bahagi lang daw po ito ng regular budgeting process at walang indikasyon na pwede itong magresulta sa impeachment process na premature daw po ito para maging basehan ng impeachment. How are we looking at this argument and how are we looking at this complaint now?
Well, in a different light, obviously, no? Kasi kung yung mga kongresista mismo ganun ang sinasabi. So it's like they're telegraphing their decision already, right? Na by saying na yung COA report is not enough, parang sinasabi na nila where they will go when it's time for them to vote on the impeachment complaint, no? So it's a big blow, I suppose, dun sa mga nagpupush for the impeachment complaint, kasi meron ng mga naririnig from the House of Representatives na mukhang hindi sila agree that yung ebidensya ay sufficient, no? At least when it comes to the confidential funds, no? Or at least yung COA report lang. So it doesn't bode well kung merong mga ganong observations or declarations yung mga members of the House. It doesn't bode well for the impeachment complaint itself, kung uusad pa ba to at the level na maaari na siyang i-transmit sa Senado.
Now, I just want to touch on the language of the Vice President. Sabi po ni Senator Bato, I'm talking about the threats. Nung mga panahong nag-lash out po siya, they call it the political meltdown. Sabi po ni Senator Bato, it was a conditional threat. Some say it was taken out of context. At ang nangingibabaw po na sentimiento, lalo na sa publiko, especially among the supporters of the Duterte, na she's just being a Duterte. Parang hindi na raw po tayo nasanay sa kanyang ama na si former President Rodrigo Duterte. That for 6 years, we were giving his language a pass. Na okay lang kasi ganun magsalita ang isang Duterte. What are the chances na makakalusot ulit ito, being the way na it's just a manner that how a Duterte speaks sa pagtrato po natin dito sa impeachment complaint na ito?
That's a good question, Rose, no? So first of all, wala pong conditional threat, no? Walang krimen na ang tawag ay conditional threat, no? It is a threat. The crime is issuing those threats, no? So number two, yung circumstances surrounding the issuance of those threats, no, is irrelevant as far as investigating them is concerned, no? Kasi the moment na meron ka ng tangka sa buhay ng presidente, automatic national security concern na kagad yun at dapat imbestigahan. No? So, doon sa investigasyon, doon mo nasasabihin na, joke lang yun, no? Nagbibiro lang ako. So, that will be part of the investigation. But the point here is that dahil nabitawan yung threat na yon to the life of the president, dapat tong imbestigahan at iniimbestigahan na nga. No? So, ang mangyayari ngayon is the DOJ will now determine ano nga ba yung krimen na ipapataw natin dito, considering yung explanation na bibigay ni Vice President Duterte na hindi, ano lang to, in jest ko lang sinabi to or in the heat of the moment, ganon. So, yung mga rason na yon, that is only relevant in the DOJ investigation. Pero as far as triggering an investigation is concerned, hindi relevant yun. Ano? Kasi the moment na binitawan na niya yung salita na ipapapatay niya si Pangulong Marcos, automatic, dapat nang imbestigahan yon. So yun yung ikalawang punto. Now, doon naman sa sinasabi na lengguwahe lang talaga, o pamamaraan lang ng pagsasalita ni Vice President Duterte yon, at bakit si Pangulong Duterte napapabayaan natin o given a pass, as you say. Well, merong major difference, Rose, kasi si Pangulong Duterte is immune from suit, no? Kaya kahit na kung sino-sinong murahin niya, while he was the president, wala tayong magagawa talaga in terms of making him criminally liable for those outbursts, no? Kasi ang presidente, meron siyang absolute immunity from any suit while he is the president. Si Vice President Duterte, she is not immune from suit. No? So, yung nakita natin na yon nung nagtangka siyang patayin si Pangulong Marcos, dahil hindi siya immune from suit, it's incumbent upon our law enforcers and our prosecutors to pursue that criminal case. Kasi kitang-kita naman hindi naman pwedeng pabayaan lang yon, no? So, yung ganong reasoning na ganun talaga magsalita sila, no, yung mga Dutertes. Well, si Pangulong Duterte, wala tayong magagawa kasi Pangulo siya at immune siya from suit. Pero si Vice President Duterte, she is not immune from suit. So, it is only proper for our law enforcers and our prosecutors to pursue that criminal case, whatever that is. No? So, dumaan dapat sa proseso at dumadaan na nga sa proseso, and then malalaman natin at the end of it kung ano nga ba yung indictment na ipapataw sa kanya.
Alright. It's good that you point out, sir, na the moment na nilabas o binigkas pa lang yung mga ganong kataga, it's already enough to trigger an investigation. I think the public is missing out on that, na regardless of whatever the reason behind it, it should come after the investigation. But triggering an investigation ay nasa simula pa lamang na nalabas yung mga katagang na yun. Now, moving forward, sir, I'm talking about the articles of complaint. How strong do you think are these articles? For you, attorney, I think the question here mainly is impeachable offenses po ba yung mga nailatag na sa final na complaint? And can you point some and can I hear your thoughts on some of these points?
So, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, no? So yung mga crimes na pinapataw sa kanya, well, let's be specific, yung issuing those death threats, I don't think that's a viable ground. No? Hindi ito high crimes. No? Hindi ito high crimes in my view at least. No? Kasi parang given the circumstances na sa publicly announced, tapos pwedeng sabihin na it was in the heat of the moment, etc., etc. So that to me is not a viable impeachment ground. No? Para sa akin, palagay ko yung posible na masabi natin na impeachable offense is yung possible misuse of confidential funds. Kasi we're talking about hundreds of millions of pesos here, no? In fact, ang mas nakikita ko pa nga dyan is a plunder case, a plunder indictment. So, palagay ko, amongst all of the grounds na nakasaad dun sa impeachment complaints, no, dalawa na yata, palagay ko yung talagang pwedeng ipasok doon sa listahan na binanggit ko sa iyo kanina. I think yung possible misuse of the confidential funds na inallocate sa kanya, I think that can fit yung tinatawag nating graft and corruption, and also yung pwede siyang ma-package na plunder case.
It's good that you pointed that out, and I just want to say this on record na according sa findings ng COA, na gastos ng OVP ay amounting to 125 million pesos na confidential and intel funds sa loob lamang ng 11 araw. I think everyone has to know that, and that is equivalent to 11 million pesos kada araw. Okay, now before we move on to the crucial role of the Congress on advancing this impeachment complaint, our President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. expressed his stand on this. Sabi niya po ang impeachment complaint against the Vice President is insignificant, that it would only distract the Congress and not help the people. Now, these are strong statements already from the head of the state. What does this say about the leadership of our President?
Well, actually, he makes sense, no? Yung sinabi niya is very sensible and also true. At hindi lang hindi lang natin sinasabi because dahil sinabi ng presidente, sinasabi natin yun because meron na tayong karanasan 'Di ba? Meron na tayong karanasan sa impeachment. So yung impeachment ni President Estrada, yung impeachment ni Chief Justice Corona, no? So, alam na natin na kapag umusad na yung impeachment process, talagang nakatutok lahat ng mga mambabatas doon. No? kapag umandar na yung impeachment process, yung trabaho na paggawa ng batas, pagrepaso ng mga batas, yung lawmaking job ng mga members of the House and the Senate, masasantabi na yon. Kasi lahat ng mga mambabatas natin in both chambers will now focus their attention on the impeachment process. No? Understandable naman yun kasi mahalagang gawain yun. No? So tama si Pangulong Marcos na kapag pumasok na yung impeachment process, madidistract yung mga mambabatas natin at isasantabi nila yung kanilang trabaho bilang mga mambabatas. Now, hindi lang yun, ano? Gaya na sinabi ko kanina, Rose, impeachment is a very politicized process. No? So, kapag pumasok na yung impeachment process na yan, nagsimula na, umandar na, expectin na natin, gaya ng nangyari nung panahon ni Pangulong Estrada, gaya nung nangyari nung panahon ni Chief Justice Corona, expectin na natin na talagang magiging divisive yan sa ating lipunan. No? Yung partisan politics na ngayon pa lang umiinit na, lalong iinit yan. No? At talagang yung bangayan, yung bardagulan, especially in social media, talagang iinit. At talagang magkakawatak-watak tayo, no, bilang isang lipunan kasi mag-aaway-away tayo. Magkakaroon ng kakampi dito, kalaban doon. So, tama si Pangulong Marcos again, no, na this will be divisive. Kasi nakita na natin ito nung cases ni Pangulong Estrada at ni Chief Justice Corona. So, I would say yung deklarasyon ni Pangulong Marcos regarding impeachment, I would say it's sensible, not because he said it, but because we already had bad experiences when it comes to the impeachment process.
Yes. Gusto ko rin lang pong banggitin na nabanggit nyo na tututukan ito ng Kongreso once the case started rolling out. Because unlike other cases, ito pong impeachment case ay araw-araw na uupuan ng ating mga kongresista. Hindi katulad ng ibang mga kaso na weekly nilang dinidinig. Once the impeachment case started rolling out in the Congress, magsisimula na rin po yung araw-araw na pagdinig. And now, Attorney, I just want to touch on the threats that VP Sara threw at the President. We've been talking about this, and this was covered by international media. Do you think na concern din po ito ng Presidente natin kung sakaling magkaroon nga ng impeachment? Yung ating reputation, lalo na sa international scene, lalo na isa sa mga isinusulong ng Pangulo itong ugnayan natin sa ibang mga estado?
That's a fair point, Rose. No? So I would say na the President might be concerned, no? Kumbaga kung ano yung magiging reputasyon natin or how the international community will view us, no? Kung matuloy yung impeachment. But it's not really about the impeachment itself, no? It's the potential for it to cause some instability in our politics, no? Gaya na sinabi ko kanina, 'di ba? Once na umandar na 'yan, talagang iinit yung partisan politics sa atin, no? What does that mean, no? That means magkakaroon tayo ng potential na political instability. 'Di ba? Alam naman natin, okay lang naman kung nagtutunggali tayo sa politika, no? That's democracy. Kaya lang natatakot tayo na kapag lumala at naging polarized lalo yung ating politika, no? Kapag talagang yung bardagulan natin, yung bangayan natin ay sumobra na, sumukdulan na, then lumalapit tayo dun sa possibility of political instability. At yan ang pinakaayaw ng mga investors, no? Both foreign and domestic. Kahit sinong investor tanungin mo, number one sa kinakatakutan nila is political instability. So I suppose yan yung magiging concern ni Pangulong Marcos, no, na kapag umandar yung impeachment process, baka mauwi tayo sa political instability katulad ng nangyari kay Pangulong Estrada, no? Sana hindi naman tayo umabot doon na nagkaroon pa ng people power too. So, yaan kasi yung pwedeng makasira doon sa momentum ng ekonomiya natin, 'di ba? Yung sabi nga, 'di ba, ang ekonomiya natin pwede na tayo maging middle upper ano ba? High middle income. So whatever that is, no? But ang sinasabi is meron tayong momentum sa ating ekonomiya na kapag nagkaroon ng sigalot sa politika, baka maudlot pa to. O mangyari niyan, baka maatrasado ulit tayo.
Alright. Now going back po dun sa panawagan na ito ng ating presidente, it surely didn't stop the people from filing, but President Marcos confirms na inask niya mismo yung mga House lawmakers na wag nang mag-proceed with any Duterte impeachment. Do you think it will affect the House decision to approve the complaint?
Alam mo, my answer to that is I think it will, no? Kasi but it depends on anong gagawin ni speaker. So, yung binigkas yung deklarasyon ni Pangulong Marcos, no, regarding this matter, it will affect the members of the House, but I think it will still depend on how the speaker will guide them, quote unquote, no. Kasi kung suportado ni Speaker Romualdez yung impeachment complaint at sinabi niya mismo na ituloy natin to, then wala namang magagawa yung mga members of the House, no? Kasi ang kanilang pinuno is the speaker, no? Hindi naman yung presidente ang pinuno nila. Although alam naman natin na lahat naman ng mga mambabatas natin ay nagdi-defer rin sa Pangulo natin, no? So, yung sinasabi natin is kung susunod ba yung mga members of the House dun sa sinabi ni Pangulong Marcos, I would say yes, but only if the speaker explicitly declares that ayaw na rin niya. Kumbaga, sabihin niya mismo na impeachment is off the table. But if the speaker said na this is something that must be pursued, meaning to say impeachment must be pursued, then sa palagay ko, siya ang susundin ng mga members of the House at hindi si Pangulong Marcos.
Alright. So far, we still haven't heard any statements from the House Speaker. So I think yan po yung mga bagay na aantayin natin on the next days. Attorney, the last day of the session of the House of Representatives is on December 18. Ito po yung pinaka-concern ng marami. The question now is, may oras pa po ba for this? In terms of the status, should the complaint be filed na lang dapat next year when the session's resumed? And mismong si House General Secretary Reginald Velasco na po yung nagsabi na hinug na at malabo ng maaksyonan yung impeachment na ito ngayong taon. What do you say to this, Attorney?
Yeah, that's actually true, no? Kasi kung pagbabatayan mo yung rules nila, no? Kasi from the moment na final yung impeachment complaint, they have 10 days for the speaker to schedule it na sa order of business, no? I think hindi aabot sa 10 days eh. Kulang-kulang na yung 10 days tapos magbe-break na sila. So kumbaga, based on their own rules, hindi na siguro aabot, no? But hindi natin alam, no? We cannot really say for certain na hindi to aaksyonan ngayon ng mga members of the House, no? Sabi nga ni Senator De Lima, kung meron silang political will, quote-unquote, na gawin ito, magagawa nila. Pero batay na rin sa mga sinabi mo kanina, Rose, na parang hindi naman sila lahat buong-buo ang loob dito. So, di tayo sigurado kung they will make an effort to work within the schedule, no? So, mukhang this year, the chances of it really taking off at least yung first phase, no, yung first phase ng impeachment process ay mukhang slim yung chances. Nung next year naman, kung next year naman ang pag-uusapan natin, maybe yung first phase magagawa, pero yung second phase, yung pagdidibatihan na sa plenaryo at mag-i-endorse ba sa Committee on Justice, parang yun naman, medyo lumalabo na rin yun because papasok na yung campaign period, no? At alam naman natin, pagdating ng campaign period, syempre, to each his own na sila, no? Kanya-kanyang kampanya na sila because they also have to win in the elections, no? So, timing talaga is really the biggest challenge or the second biggest challenge because of course, yung content of the complaint itself is also a challenge. But sa palagay ko, given yung schedule na nakikita natin ngayon, the Congress going on break and then the coming campaign period, it's gonna be a big challenge kung talagang masusunod yung rules ng House of Representatives dito.
But Attorney, do you think that the extensive hearing na isinasagawa po ng House of Representatives, lalo na sa confidential funds, na good basis po ito to hold on the possibility na i-aprobahan ito ng Kamara?
Actually, hindi. Kasi the more they conduct hearings, di ba, the less time they can devote on the impeachment complaint. So, kumbaga, nagkakaroon ng parang conflict of schedule, no? Imbis na natututukan nila yung impeachment complaint, no? Ang tinututukan nila yung mga inquiries na ginagawa nila. So, it might not be helpful in that sense, no? Kasi nagkakaroon ng division of attention as it looks, no?
All right. Attorney, let's talk about the Ombudsman. According to them, tali yung kamay nila laban sa kaso ni Vice President Sara Duterte na kailangan mo nang ma-impeach ang isang impeachable officer bago nila kasuhan ito ng criminal or civil or administrative case. You mentioned earlier that the impeachment holds no criminal liability. Pero is this impeachment should be a trigger for the Ombudsman to file a criminal case against the Vice President? What's your thoughts on this?
So, siguro, emphasize ko lang, like what I said earlier, that the Vice President is not immune from suit. No? So, pwede na siyang makasuhan ngayon pa lang. Unlike the President, no, hindi mo siya pwedeng kasuhan kasi immune siya from suit. So, kailangan mo muna siyang i-impeach para makasuhan mo siya ng plunder. Parang katulad nangyari kay Pangulong Estrada, di ba? In the situation that we have now concerning the Vice President, walang limitasyon ang Ombudsman, no? So, the moment na nag-issue yung COA report, yung sinasabi mo kaninang COA report, yun pa lang dapat nag-trigger na ng investigation.
Alright.
So, hindi na dapat sila nag-intay na yung mga mambabatas pa mag-investigate noon. Kasi, like I said, that's potentially plunder. No? We're talking about the potential misallocation or misuse of hundreds of millions of pesos. Hindi pwedeng isang tabi lang ito ng Ombudsman. No? So, the Ombudsman should have started investigating this the moment the COA issued that report. At ngayon, alam na natin na mukhang maraming ebidensya na magsusuporta dun sa plunder indictment na yon. So the Ombudsman should be acting now. No, hindi dapat mag-intay na impeach muna. Kasi hindi naman immune from suit si Vice President eh. They can pursue the case now regardless kung matuloy ba yung impeachment o hindi.
So, Attorney, legally speaking, dahil nga po hindi immune from suit ang ating Vice President, the Ombudsman has no limitations na kasuhan siya ng mga criminal, civil, or administrative. Taliwas po ito sa kiniklaim nila na kailangan pang antayin yung result ng impeachment case. Tama po ba?
Yes, no? So sabi na nga ng Korte Suprema natin, no, na yung impeachment ibang proseso yun. Hindi siya prosesong kriminal. No? In other words, yung criminal offenses na nandoon na nga sa impeachment, pwedeng i-pursue pa rin yung criminal aspect mismo ng ombudsman. No? Hindi sinasabi, walang nagsasabi na paunahin muna yung impeachment, then susunod na yung criminal case. No? Yung sinasabi ko kanina, nangyari yan sa presidente kasi immune from suit yung presidente, no choice. This time around, hindi immune from suit yung vice president, so the ombudsman can pursue the criminal indictments whether or not ma-impeach si vice president.
All right. Before I let you go, Attorney, I'm just going to ask some questions moving forward. For you, what are the chances that these impeachments will be successful?
I'm not seeing the numbers. So let me put it that way. No? I'm not seeing the numbers. But who knows? Early days pa, as they say. No? Baka mag-iba ang ihip ng hangin pagkatapos ng Pasko. No? But certainly, kung wala yung numbers na makikita mo, then malabo na umusad yung impeachment. No? Lalong-lalo na, gaya ng sabi mo kanina, meron tayong naririnig na nagsasabi na hindi naman yata sapat yung ebidensya. And then meron tayong mga senador na nagsasabi na hindi tama yung impeachment kasi divisive ito. So, kung i-consider natin yung mga ganon, although mga disparate observations yon coming from our lawmakers, it doesn't give you confidence na mauusad yung impeachment complaint, no? Kasi if they don't have the numbers, then wala talaga.
All right. Attorney, this is definitely going way ahead, but for just public information, ano po ang mangyayari kung maalis sa pwesto ang ating Vice President?
So, syempre, ang mangyayari niyan, no, kung mawala siya during the term of President Marcos, kailangan mag-nominate si President Marcos ng Vice President niyang papalit. No? At mag-nominate siya from the members of the House of Representatives and the Senate. No? Mamimili siya. So pwede niyang piliin si Speaker kung gusto niya. No? Kasi lagi naman sila magkasama. Pwede rin niyang piliin yung kapatid niya. No? Pwede siyang pumili ng kung sino man. Basically, he can choose from anyone amongst the senators and amongst the members of the House. At kung sino yung pinili niya, iko-kumpirma ng buong Kongreso. No? Pagbobotohan nila at iko-confirm nila, in other words. At after that, kung sino man yung napili, will become the new Vice President to serve out the unserved term ng na-impeach na Vice President. So, ganun ang mangyayari. Pag natanggal si Vice President Duterte, mamimili si President Marcos ng kapalit mula sa Senado at saka sa House of Representatives. Kahit sino doon, pwede niyang piliin. And then, kung sino man yung pinili niya, ikukumpirma ng lahat ng mga mambabatas natin, pagbobotohan nila, para ikumpirma ito. At pag nakumpirma na nga, siya na yung tatayong Vice President until 2028.
Okay. How will this affect the ambitions of the Vice President of running for higher office in the future?
Wala na, no? Kung na-impeach na siya, kung na-impeach si Vice President Duterte, she will be permanently disqualified from holding any other public office. No? So, tanggal na siya as Vice President and hindi na siya pwedeng tumakbo kahit pagka-mayor, kahit barangay captain, hindi na pwede. At hindi na rin siya pwedeng i-appoint sa kahit anong posisyon sa gobyerno. So it's a permanent and absolute disqualification from public office kung ma-impeach si Vice President Duterte.
All right. How about the effects of this impeachment case or the whole Marcos Duterte riff Sa ating upcoming elections, we still have allies of both parties running for office. Ano po yung maaaring maging epekto nito? May lumalakas po bang partido or may humihina? What are the effects of this impeachment case in our election?
So kung matuloy yung impeachment case, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, iinit lang yung bardagulan dyan. So partisan politics will heat up exponentially, will intensify exponentially. So that's the politics in the public sphere. Pero yung politics amongst our political elites, syempre yung mga dynastic politicians natin, when they think about their survival, no, they will always gravitate towards the one in power, no, or the group that has control of the government, the administration. So, kung mangyari man yan, mukhang lamang yung side ni President Marcos only because administration sila. No? So, magiging barometer yung 2025 elections kung anong mangyayari dun sa dalawang panig, no? May advantage sila President Marcos because administration sila. Pero meron ding lakas din naman yung Duterte magic, no? Yung Duterte brand. So we will see kung gaano ka lakas yung Duterte magic pa din sa 2025. Kung hindi sila manalo ng malaki, mukhang iisipin ng mga tao at ng panig nila President Marcos, mahina na yung Duterte brand. Pero kung malaro pa rin sila, yung mga supporters ni Pangulong Duterte at Vice President Duterte ay manalo pa rin sa 2025, then baka mag-recalibrate din naman yung side ni President Marcos, no, na baka mag-offer na siya ng parang unity team ulit, no, para ma-preserve yung hold nila sa power. So, yan ang babantayan natin, no? Sino ba talaga yung aangat sa 2025 elections?
All right. As we conclude this interview, attorney, ano pong dulot nito? Ano yung maaari nating asahan in terms of the future political landscape or trajectory? Sabi nyo nga po, there's a potential instability in our politics. Magkakaroon ng watak-watak sa publiko lalo na. And 2028 is still a few years away. Ano po yung mga maaari nating makita o dapat nating asahan, lalo na ng publiko, sa mga nalalabing taon sa administrasyong ito?
Alam mo, Rose, we are a democracy. So, yung ganitong klaseng tunggalian sa politika, it's normal, no? Ang hindi lang natin gusto kasi, when the public is sort of being deceived, no, na binibigyan sila ng expectations na hindi naman ito yung totoo o nakasaad sa batas, no? So, yung case in point na sinasabi ko is, pinapaniwala ang ating mga kababayan na ang impeachment is a way to hold the Vice President accountable, no, for those alleged crimes that she committed. But that's not what impeachment is about. Impeachment is about removing her from public office and perpetually disqualifying her to hold any public office. I suppose kung yun yung idea of accountability, then that's true, no? Pero yung criminal liability for those crimes, no, potentially plunder, hindi naman ito nasasagot sa impeachment. In other words, kailangan pa rin mag-file ng kaso of plunder or whatever criminal indictments sa kanya to hold her accountable for those crimes. So dapat maliwanag sa mga kababayan natin yun, so that when they evaluate yung mga political elites natin from whatever spectrum, no, they will have a clear mind na ito yung nangyayari sa politika natin, na merong mga nagtutulak ng agenda nila, no, at merong mga tao na hindi nagiging honest sa kanilang pagtulak ng agenda nila. So, I suppose yun yung dapat maliwanagan sa ating mga kababayan na ang impeachment process is a constitutional process. So, dapat sumangguni tayo sa ating saligang batas para alam natin, maliwanag sa atin kung ano talaga ang nangyayari at ano yung potential na mangyayari sa bayan natin kung uusad itong impeachment process na ito.
Alright, those are really great points of clarifications, Attorney. Maraming salamat po, Attorney, sa inyong oras.
Maraming salamat din.
Again, that was Attorney Michael Henry Yusinko, a political analyst and senior research fellow at the Ateneo School of Government. Samahan niyo akong muli sa susunod na linggo para alamin ang bawat katotohanan sa likod ng kontrobersya.